Hello gamers, and welcome to another preview for the upcoming Steel Division 2 DLC, Tribute to the Liberation of Italy. And it's going to be an Axis division again, and it will be the 4th Fallschirmjäger. As always, everything is subject to change, also models, might get new new textures and so on. That's what it said in the news as well. So everything subject to change. This is a preview build. Raised in Venice in late 1943, the 4th Fallschirmjäger was unusually formed by mixing German and Italian paratroopers. Seeing first blood at Pianzio bridgehead, the division became specialized in providing rearguard screens such as in Rome or Florence. The battle group's mix of infantry deploy with their nation's specific weapons such as the German LG-42 or the Italian Beretta SMG. A few captured Semovente 75mm and 105mm are available, with extra firepower coming from Sturmpanzers 4 and a single Elephant, as well as a handful of Panthers and Tigers. Anti-air units include the self-propelled SPA-38R Breda 20mm and NAG 4500 37mm, with skies above protected by the nimble Machi C-205 Veltro, Beute Z-1007er, Heavy Bomber, Bf-110 and Focke-Wulf 190G3 fighters. The 4th Fallschirmjäger's units vary in quality with strong air and anti-air forces, offset by lackluster artillery. So might be quite useful for the current meta actually, with strong AA, get okay-ish recon slots, decent infantry slots, tank slots okay-ish, support tabs decent, anti-tank decent, anti-air very good, artillery not so good, air very good. So what shall we take here? Oh no, this seems like a new unit to me. I'm not 100% sure. AS-42 20mm. I don't think I've ever seen that before. So this could very well be a new, entirely new unit. Yeah, it's got the Breda with AP shells, 750m range, HE shells and bullets. Can shoot at the air as well. This looks like a fun little unit. You get only 2 in A phase. It's got radio, so might want to bring that in B phase. It drops from availability from from 2 to 4. It goes from 2 to 4, and in A phase it drops to 1, and then you can't get it. And B phase it's 4 to 1. Then Fallschirmjäger Aufklärer with 2 SMGs, very cheap unit, comes in a BMW, can come in a Kettenkrad or a Kübel MG if you want an extra recon vehicle for 5 points. Get 2 cards, availability is 4, 8, 12, in A phase it's 4, 3, 2, and then in B phase 8, 6, 4, and in C phase it's 12, 9, 6. Then you get the Spätrupp, which is a bit beefier, and it has the FG Fallschirmjäger Gewehr 42 automatic rifle with 600m range. You get them in A phase 3 single vetted or 2 double vetted. In B phase you get 6 or 4, and in C phase 9 or 6. And this is the cool vehicle we've already looked at. Then you get the Scharfschütze, which is pretty nice, with 3 guys actually. They have to come double weighted. You get 2, 4 or 6, and they again can come in a variety of vehicles. Then you get the Paratroopers Esploratori, so Italian parachuter scouts, and look at the uniforms, they are pretty much new. They could come in a truck as well. That doesn't really make sense, I think. So they've got 6 Berettas and a Panzerfaust, so that's pretty cool. They have 100% accuracy basically, because they have to come single vetted, so you get 3 or 2 in A phase, 6 or 4 in B phase, and then 9 or 6 in C phase. And then you get your good old SPW AB-43, and I think it has a new camouflage. I don't want to bet, but this looks new to me. Really interesting. This looks like the front here, actually. Well, it's possible, yeah. Weird. Gun pointing in this direction though. Maybe for transport or something. Yeah, so you get them in A phase only. You get 6, 4 or 2. So maybe it's worth taking these guys in B phase if you want to go for the numbers and the radio. SPWs have radio as well. Infantry tab. Less units than the Corpo di Liberazione we looked at last, but still it looks decent. So get 6 of these gustatori parachuters in A phase. It's a CQC unit with 3 SMGs and geballte Ladung and the new uniform. 6, 12 or 18, or in A phase it's 6, 5, 3, so single vetting is worth it, I think. In B phase it's 12, 10, 7, and in C phase it's 18, 14, 10. And they've got the radar trait. So that would be a CQC option. Then here you get some AT capabilities. It's a parachuters commando squad with 9 Berettas and an anti-tank grenade. You have to bring them single vetted. You get 6 or 4 in A phase, 12 or 8 in B phase, and 24 or 16 in C phase. They have to come in the truck. And you have the parachutisti. So if you compare them, obviously this is more like than the ranged line infantry version with 2 automatic rifles and some normal rifles as well. And they have the Panzerfaust. You get 9, 6 or 3 in A phase, 18, 12 or 6 in B phase, and 27, 18 or 9 in C phase, so quite steep. You have to come in the truck. Then you've got the first out of the 2 leader options that you get, and that's a German unit. Also really nice uniforms here. With 2 automatic rifles, 2 SMGs and an anti-tank grenade, radio, radar trait. Have to come single vetted. You get 3 or 2 in A phase, 6 or 4 in B phase, and then 9 or 6 in C phase. Let's directly compare it with the other leader. The other leader is the variant with the Nebelhandgranate, so you can smoke. And availability is worse on this one. It's also 5 points more, new nice uniforms, and they have the radar straight as well, and they have radio pretty much, yeah, everything the same. 11 guys instead of 4. You get 4 Berettas, 6 rifles and an LMG. You get 2 in A phase or 1. In B phase you get 4 or 2, and in C phase you get 6 or 3. So I think this is like the more beefier squad, but that you want to retreat as well using smoke. And you get another CQC unit, German Fallschirm Pioneers, with 2 automatic rifles, normal rifles, and an LMG. So ideal fighting range is, I guess, 500 meters. So you can use all your weapons. And obviously geballte Ladung. You get 2 cards of these, and you can get 5, 4 or 3 in A phase, 10, 8 or 6 in B phase, and 15, 12 or 9 in C phase. So that's a very interesting CQC option, I think. If you compare it with the other option, that's the Italian parachuter, it's 1 guy more, and you get the LMG. That's like the main differences, but yeah, and automatic rifles also instead of just the Beretta. But this SMG has a very good rate of fire. So choices here. Then you get the Sturmpionier with 1 Flammenwerfer, and the Nebelhandgranate you get 5 or 3 in A phase, in B phase 10 or 7, in C phase 15 or 10. They have to come in a Horch or in the slow lorry. It's only 40 kilometers and 80 kilometers. Well, that's actually not too bad, right? Yeah, that's your Fallschirmjäger, basically your line infantry, I'd say. And they seem to be really good with 2 LMGs and also the 2 automatic rifles. We already looked at the other leader. Now let's head to the tank tab. We get a Stück M41, that's like the tiny tank you also have fighting for the Allies in the Corpo di Liberazione. And it's a leader, very squishy, but also very cheap. You get 3 or 2 in A phase and 6 or 4 in B phase. It's got radio. Then you get the Stück M42, medium tank, with heat shells, 1.5 kilometers, 85 mil penetration, AP shells with 85 mil penetration, decent accuracy, decent rate of fire, and then also HE shells with 1750 meter range, just as the AP shells. You would get 5, 4 or 3 in A phase and 10, 8 or 6 in B phase. You can't bring them in C phase. Possibly an interesting option for A phase. You get 1 card of Tigers with 1 Tiger in A phase, 2 in B phase, or 4 in C phase. They have to come single wetted. If you double wet them in B phase, you only get 1. If you double wet them in C phase, you get 2 instead of 4. 2 kilometer range is obviously pretty good. And is that a new logo here? The horse here. Then you get a Panther 325. Here you can see smoke actually. Panther A, 150 points, very expensive. You can only bring it in B phase. You can get 4, 2 or 1. So Tiger maybe in C phase, Panther in B phase. You could also go for the Panther Führer, only in A phase, 1 Panther Führer. Also looking pretty cool. Yeah, tank tab a bit difficult. I think you would bring 3 tanks, possibly the Stück M42, the Tiger and the Panther. What's this penetration here? Okay, it's no penetration, it's just the Breda. Yeah, well. Then in the support tab, you get your standard flamethrower, 6, 4 or 2 in A phase, 9, 6 or 3 in B phase, and 12, 8 or 4 in C phase. Then there's an Italian mortar, only 540 meter range, and possibly like with the others you can't use them for defensive fire, which is a shame. You would get also Kettenkrad, Kübel or BMW motorbike, so you get 6 or 4 in A phase because they have to come upweighted only 15 points. Then in B phase it's 12 or 8, and in C phase it's 18 or 12. You get Kübel munition trucks, which is or vehicles, which is pretty cool because they have 5,000 supply and cost half, but you get 4 in A phase, 8 in B phase, and here you get 2, 4 or 6, 10,000 supplies, double price. So I really like those smaller units. If you lose one, it's not as bad as losing this one. Then you get the LG40 assault gun, and I think this is really cool. I think in the description it said LG42, but it's the LG40 here. AP shell 60mm, and then also HE shells, 1.5 kilometer range for both. This is super good for ambushes. If you hit the side armor of a tank, you get 4, 3 or 2 in A phase. Rate of fire is also very decent. 8, 6 or 4 in B phase. And you get the Stück M42 75-18 Italian variant. An assault gun with heat shells, 1.5 kilometer range, 75 mil penetration. The AP shells have 55 mil penetration, same range of 1.5 kilometers, and same applies to the HE shells. So this is an interesting option, I think. Armor is obviously not very good, but it's also only 30 points. It's like an armored grille, kind of. So you get 3 or 2 in A phase, 6 or 4 in B phase, and 9 or 6 in C phase. Possibly a really interesting option. And you get the Fallschirmjäger's MG42s. You get 4 cards. Can come in Horch, Kübel or Truck. In A phase you get 5, 4 or 3. In B phase you get 10, 8 or 6. And in C phase 15, 12 or 9. So you can really upweight them a little bit for that extra rate of fire and accuracy maybe. And less suppression obviously. But in the current meta I think most players don't really upweight their HMGs. But in this case maybe because it costs you only 1 card, respectively 2 units, it might be worth it. Then you get a Stück M43 105-25 Italian vehicle. So this is like a cheap Stück 3. You get 2 kilometers range with the HE shells. That's fantastic to taking out enemy AT guns, for example. You can also just stay out of range and then shoot at the ground just in front of them to give them some splash damage and stay out of range. And then you also have like 8 heat shells with 105mm penetration. So this is a card you should definitely consider. And how cool is that? You get the Sturmpanzer assault gun. 2K range, very good front armor. You get 1 or none in A phase. In B phase you get 3, 1 or none, and in C phase you get 6, 3 or 1. This is a really interesting option. You get 3 cards. Then you have a commander here for 110 points. He has geballte Ladung here, but here he doesn't, unfortunately for him. And you get this tiny Italian Panzer leader, as you can see, work in progress, with some armor, and it's only a Breda gun, so yeah, possibly not worth it. Or you get the Linz, cute little Italian vehicle with a Breda gun, 8mm bullets. Yeah, I think this is the best. I don't know why the Linz is more expensive, possibly because of the speed. The Panzer L6 is really slow. Possibly it's best to go with the Commandant and put him in a house, safe and sound. And let's move on to the anti-tank tab. 3 cards of Panzerschreck, really good stuff. 250 meter range. You get 4, 3 or 2 in A phase, 8, 6 or 4 in B phase, and 12, 9 or 6 in C phase, but you usually don't want to upweight them. They've got the radar trait, so increased stealth. This is a nice unit. Then you get the Stück L6 tank destroyer. I think enemies tremble in fear when they see this cute tank. And unfortunately it only has 65mm penetration, so it can only be useful early on in the game. Given the price tag, it's not that bad, maybe for an early push. Even, it also has heat shells, HE shells, both 1.25 kilometer range. bit squishy. 6, 5 or 4 in A phase, so you possibly want to upweight them. 12, 10 or 7 in B phase, not too shabby. Then you get this really nice Italian gun that has to come upweighted once. You get 6 or 4 in A phase, and then in B phase you get 9 or 6, and in C phase you get 12 or 8. But with this penetration you need to do ambushes or just use it like in A phase. Then you get a Pack Jährlich with 120 millimeter penetration and 1 kilometer range. I think with the range changes and everything you can possibly make good use of it. It also has the radar straight, so that makes it quite the interesting option. I think you get 6 or 12 in A respectively B phase, and A drops from 6 to 4. In B phase it drops from 12 to 8. I think this might be an interesting option. 120 millimeter ain't shabby. Pak 40 obviously 145 millimeter, and with the APCR it's 190. The range 1.75 kilometers. So this is obviously the better and more expensive unit, because that's like a leichter Pack as well, I guess. L for leichter. So light basically. Then you get 3, 2 or 1 in A phase, 5, 3 or 1 in B phase, and 8, 4 or 2 in C phase. Has to come in the SDKFZ with machine gun or in the truck. So maybe even bring it in the SDKFZ, because it's got 750 meter range and can, you know, engage an onslaught of opponents a little bit. So might be worth the 5 points. You can also keep your mobility. And then you get the Elephant. 2 kilometers range, 230 millimeter penetration, a fantastic tank destroyer with the with the range changes introduced last year. 2 kilometers range is really good, and you get it for both HE and AP. Your front armor is fantastic, side armor is okay-ish, speed is horrible, and obviously it's a prime target for your opponents. But I think it might be on the right decks, it might be a good option to fight in IS-2 maybe even. Yeah, but you need to keep the sky clear, so let's see what they can do in this department. You get the Fallschirmjäger 38-20 millimeter, and I think this is pretty decent. If you bring enough of them, you can't bring it with an AA truck. You get 6, 4 or 2 in A phase, 9, 6 or 3 in B phase, and 12, 8 or 4 in C phase. With the radar straight, so that's actually quite good. Then you get the same, basically, or similar, it's a different gun, but you know, the Italian deck we looked at last had this gun as a self-propelled AA gun as well, but also as a stationary gun, and you can shoot at tanks with that, or at least like lightly armored vehicles. Yeah, not sure if that's worth it. Then you have another truck here as well, which is way more expensive, and it's the Flak 43 mounted on it. Oh, this looks really cool. I mean, look at that. I've got extra protection here with logs and firewood. There's the Eagle. I think this is a pretty cool looking unit. I think this is a new unit, and I think you might even want to bring it. 2.5 kilometers range. You get 2 or 1 in A phase, or 4, 2 or none in B phase. Did I check the availability here? It would be 4, 3, 2 and 8, 6, 4. So you can bring 4 AA pieces. I think 1 or 2 should be these, 1 possibly this one, and then 1 or 2 should be this big bad boy. which will also help you with 160mm penetration fighting against enemy tanks in its dual role. You can bring 2 in A phase or 1 if you upvet them. In B phase you can bring 4, 2, 1, and in C phase 6, 3 or 1. You get 2 cards. So so maybe 1 or 2 of these, 1 or 2, well, possibly both of these, and possibly you can actually manage to fill in all the slots. Now your artillery ain't great. You get the Beobachter, 3, 2 or 1. In B phase it's 6, 4, 2. But what is he gonna spot? Considering the lack of options here. You get a Batterieführer, which could supplement your leaders, so you get 4, 2 or 1 in A phase, and then 4 or 2 in B phase, 6 or 3 in C phase. They are beefy with 10 guys, radar straight, and you get your standard mortar, but with radio, so that is really cool. And you actually get 5 of them, surprisingly. Don't you usually get only 4? They've got radar as well. So you get 5, 4 or 3 in A phase, 10, 8 or 6 in B phase, and 15, 12 or 9 in C phase. You get 4 cards. And it's actually very interesting. Then here you've got the 120mm mortar. You can compare it here. As you can see, better suppression, better damage, and better blast. Also obviously more range, but no radio, but can be good for defensive fire. Or then you get 2 or 1 in A phase, 4, 2, 1 in B phase, and in C phase it's 6, 3, 1. Yeah, okay, so you get, in B phase it's actually 2 or 1, because then it's none, okay. And you get the K18, and that's then your only option for counter battery fire. It's got the radio, it's got, well, obviously 172.5mm HE shells, which is huge. And this is quite the beast, to be honest. I mean, look at it. Is there something wrong with the tracks here? Maybe, I'm not sure. It's lifted up a bit. Yeah, so it'll be pulled by this truck. So it's a sturdy little truck here, the SDKFZ. You can bring it with a Maultier as well. And you might actually want to do that if you use it for counter battery only. But it's 8 rate of fire and 20 accuracy. It's not that great. You get 1 in A phase. In B phase you can get 2 or 1. And in C phase you can get 4, 2 or 1. So possibly you can get like 2 in B phase for counter battery purposes, just in case. Maybe 2 of the radio mortars. I would possibly even bring 2 of the radio mortars. Then air tap. You get this very good resilience air recon plane with some self-defense on top. Only 35 points, and you get actually 4 in A phase or 2 or 3. So it's possibly still not worth upvetting. In B phase you get 8 or 5. Then you get the BF 110 G4B. Looks like a night fighter here. It's got close air support, 30mm, 20mm, 7.92mm turret, but also already the front damage is very decent. 515 km speed is not that great. It's considered a heavy fighter, and I think you would more likely use it in a close air support role. You get 4, 3 or 1 in A phase, 6, 4 or 2 in B phase, and 8, 5 or 3 in C phase. It's really cheap. Not sure how well it can perform in its close air support role. Here you get some more cannons here, pointing towards the front. Where are they? You get 2 here. Well, 4 are supposed to be in the nose. That would be these 2 and these 2, I guess. And that's the gun pod. Here you get some rockets as well, light rockets. 4 of them with 25% accuracy. You can estimate that 1 will hit. So you can possibly take out like a puck, for example, with 1 hit. Very slow, medium resilience. So you would get 1 in A phase, 2 in B phase, or 3 in C phase, and you can't upvet them. Then you get your squishy Italian fighter, but it's really fast, 620 kilometers, but only 2 20mm autocannons and 2 12.7mm machine guns, and this is not dealing much damage, to be honest. You get 2 or 1 in A phase, 4, 2 or 1 in B phase, and 8, 4 or 2 in C phase. From my very early impressions so far, this plane is not really good at shooting down enemies. You get a Focke-Wulf 190 G3, obviously also very poor in its fighter role, with only 2 autocannons with 20mm each, but you get 1 250 kilogram bomb and 4 50 kilogram bombs, so that's actually interesting. 535 kilometers, bad resilience, very bad agility. You get 2 or 1 in A phase, 4, 2 or 1 in B phase, and 8, 4 or 2 in C phase. Then here you get a heavy fighter bomber, Focke-Wulf 190 G3 without its BR5. Yeah, you get basically 3 250 kilogram bombs. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. The bomb loadout changes, obviously the speed changes a bit, interestingly. I guess, is that the speed before dropping the bombs? Or after? Not sure. But here you can see those 50 kg extra cost you 30 kilometers per hour. So you can get 1 in A phase, 2, 1 or none in B phase, and 4, 2, 1 in C phase. Yeah, you get quite a few slots, but your planes aren't that great. I don't think there's a great fighter here. You don't get AT rockets. And then we go with some bombers, Italian bombers. This one gives you 1 800 kg bomb and 6 100 kg bombs, so lots of damage can be dished out. Very good resilience, so you get 1 in A phase, 2 or 1 in B phase, and 4, 2 or 1 in C phase. With regards to this one, the bomb loadout is different. It's also a bit slower. You get, instead of the 100 kg bomb, you get 12 100. Instead of the 800 kg bomb, you get 12 100 kg bombs and slightly reduced speed. And you can get, availability seems to be the same. Availability is actually better. 2 or 1 in A phase, 4, 3 or 1 in B phase, and 7, 5 or 2 in C phase, and that's it. It'll be difficult to fill that. Possibly you even want to get the Recon plane in this deck. Is there a single, and you actually need the Veltro because it's your only fast fighter. So it might be worth going for that, and considering your lack of artillery options, decent air, okay-ish tank with some options, and obviously highly qualified infantry and some interesting options here as well with sharpshooters and the SPW and the AS-42 even, which can shoot at the air as well. Makes it quite appealing, to be honest. I think when I build the deck, I'm leaning towards a Maverick deck. Because I think you will have less infantry than in the Corpo di Liberazione, and the air tab, while there's quite a bit of options, it's not super thrilling, I think. AA obviously is good, so I actually think you can do an early push, even support it with your Air Force, and bring out the AA if needed. Yeah, so I think this could be a Maverick deck, first and foremost. My favorite unit, difficult. What's gonna be my favorite unit? Maybe the Elephant? No. My favorite unit is this, I think, new self-propelled anti-aircraft gun, the NAC 4537mm. This looks pretty cool. This is going to feature on YouTube as well. Here we go. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and see you for the deck building in the next video. Until then, bye for now.